All right, Shalom. This is the Yahawah at a great millstone, Atlanta. I want to give all praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rakah, Kodash. Shalom to all the Akim that are pushing out this truth and sincerity. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. All right, this is a quick lesson. All right, and all right, this is gonna be a quick lesson. All right, this is basically things heating up. Okay, as far as tension amongst the nations. Okay, now I got some articles. All right, I got a few articles actually, so I'm just gonna go into it and bring out some precepts. Now, of course, all right, the Passover just last evening was the Passover. All right, so things are gonna start speeding up. We're gonna see a lot more prophecies coming to pass. All right. So let's see. Let's start with this one. Okay, here we go. It says new arms race started by U.S. pulling out of missile treaty. All right, and it says Russian President Vladimir Putin has denied accusations he revived an arms race by unveiling Russia's new nuclear deterrent. That was done by U.S. President George Bush killing a 30-year-old missile treaty in 2002. All right. It says in an interview with NBC's Megyn Kelly on Thursday, the Russian leader brushed off claims in the Western media that by introducing nuclear-powered missiles, including the hypersonic Sarmat, has signaled a new arms race. The alarmist rhetoric that fills Western outlets is just another form of propaganda. Right? Because, yeah, I mean, a few people don't realize, all right, we're in the middle of World War III, basically. All right, World War III has already begun. Okay, and right now this is just the warm-ups. All right, this is just the I mean, it's inevitable. That's how I say it's already started, is because this thing is inevitable, and it's also prophesied in the scriptures. All right, so this thing has already kicked off. It's already it's no turning back. You know. Excuse me. All right, my point of view is that the individuals saying that a new Cold War has started are not really analysts. They do propaganda. All right. If we are to speak of an arms race, then an arms race started precisely at that point. All right. It was U.S. President George Bush who withdrew from the anti-ballistic missile treaty, which had been one of the main pillars of the detente, or detente, and held nearly for 30 years. Bush argued that the treaty hindered the U.S. ability to protect itself from future terrorist or rogue state attacks. All right, let me see. All right, the path that led towards confrontation could have been avoided had the U.S. agreed to cooperate on the development of anti-missile defenses with Russia. All right, which they didn't want to do that. Okay, all right, because first of all, this is basically just Satan divided against Satan. All right, which the scriptures talk about that. How can a nation divided against itself stand? All right, and that's the so-called white man. Okay, these are two different. Basically Edomites. All right, two different countries of Edomites that are coming up against each other. All right, it says the Russian president went on that he still believes the two countries should focus on what they can do together. He mentioned that the fight against common challenges to security, such as terrorism, instead of creating threats to one another, great powers should pool efforts in protecting against terrorists. And he said, every single weapon system that I have discussed today easily surpasses and avoids anti-missile defense systems. All right, which that's what the U.S. has been pouring their money into, is anti-missile defense systems. He said, adding that while some of them have to be fine-tuned and worked on, others are combat ready. One of them is already on combat duty. See? So these nations are getting ready. They're preparing, man. They're preparing for the final showdown. Okay? This is what's going on, and this is inevitable. Like I said. All right. So this is another article. And actually, let me get a. Because right now, this is basically Ezekiel 38. Alright. Ezekiel 38. Alright, let me start. I'll start at 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog, which that's today in modern times, that's Russia, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. And that's talking about Russia. Okay, he said he's gonna put hooks in their jaws. All right, meaning he's basically gonna put it in their spirit to rise up against this whole system. All right, and it says all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. Even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And what is happening? All right, you got this next article says 6 new weapons Putin revealed in his State of the Union address. All right, so it says his army, his his armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields. What's that talking about? That's talking about the military might, the military nuclear their nuclear arms, okay? So that's it on that. Just wanted to bring that out real quick. And I'm gonna go on this article first. Yep. Okay, so here we go. It says 6 weapons Putin revealed in his State of the Union address. All right. Number 1, Sarmat Heavy ICBM. This is the best known of the new strategic weapon systems that President Putin touched on in his State of the Union address, State of the Nation address. Okay, Sarmat will replace the Voivode system made in the USSR. Its immense power was universally recognized. Our foreign colleagues even gave it a fairly threatening name. Sarmat is a formidable missile. Owing to its characteristics, is traveled by even the most advanced missile defense systems, which that's what we just brought out. Alright, and by the way, these missiles are capable of touching U.S. Soil. Okay? Let's see. So, right here it says, Such a system would have no range limit, whilst the orbital flight path of the warheads would not reveal the target location. So basically, this thing can switch directions. Okay? It said it would allow a path to North America over the South Pole, hitting targets from the south, which is the opposite direction to the one from which the U.S. early warning systems are oriented. All right, so they can basically bypass the THAAD anti-missile defense system. Okay, it says nuclear-powered cruise missile. Russia's advanced arms are based on cutting-edge, unique achievements of our scientists, designers, and engineers. All right, let's see. One of them is a small-scale, heavy-duty nuclear energy unit that can be installed in a missile like our latest X-101 air-launched missile or the American Tomahawk missile. Let me see. Let me just get the points. You can see how the missile bypasses interceptors. As the range is unlimited, the missile can maneuver for as long as necessary. See that? So that thing can keep going until it hits its target, pretty much. Alright, next one is nuclear-powered underwater drone. Alright. This is, it says in December, an innovative nuclear power unit for this unmanned underwater vehicle completed a test cycle that lasted many years. The nuclear power unit is unique for its small size while offering an amazing power-weight ratio. It is 100 times smaller than the units that power modern submarines, but it is more powerful and can switch into combat mode, that is to say, reach maximum capacity 200 times faster. Right, so this is basically a submarine that's basically a little bit smaller but more powerful. Alright, next one is aircraft launched. And you know what? I'm not gonna go into all these. You know, y'all can actually pull up the article. I just named I'll just name them real quick, and then if there's anything that pops out, I'll read it. But just for the sake of time, I won't go through it. This is blacklistednews.com where you can find the article. A Vanguard hypersonic projectile. Alright, a real technological breakthrough is the development of a strategic missile system with fundamentally new combat equipment. Alright, that was it on that. Laser weapons. Alright. So of course, in the so-called UFOs, they have laser weapons basically. It says we have achieved significant progress in laser weapons. It is not just a concept or plan anymore. It is not even in the early production stages. Since last year, our troops have been armed with laser weapons. I do not want to reveal more details. It is not time yet. But experts will understand that such weaponry, Russia's defense capability has with such weaponry, Russia's defense capacity has multiplied. See, that's basically the Lord putting the spirit on these Russians to basically supersede America's arms. All right. Okay. Now look at this. The U.S. is accelerating development of its own invincible hypersonic weapons. Russia isn't the only country looking to build invincible hypersonic weapons. Here's the latest on the U.S. efforts to send missiles and even aircraft 5 times faster than sound. Let's see. says the message from the military scientists: U.S. hypersonics aren't keeping up with Russia and China. See, so I remember I just said that Russia and China, they're basically ahead of the game right now, and the Lord is doing that. Okay. That was it on that. I think that's the main point. Now, here we go with the next one. Iran versus Israel, big war unlikely. Yeah, right. But troublemaker Trump is wild card. Which this is a heavy prophecy is Israel and Iran going to war. Despite high tension between Iran and Israel, neither side is currently interested in escalation to a large-scale war. And basically they are, because they know it's inevitable. But there is always a high risk of a black swan, like the U.S. choosing Iran as a target for exemplary beating. Russia acts as a buffer between Israel and Iran. Another factor is Russia's presence. The experts believe Moscow has good relations with both sides in this conflict and is interested in keeping them from clashing in Syria. Alright, so Russia's basically in the middle of that. Alright, but it's going to get to a point where it's not going to be no more taking sides, man. Or them being in the middle. It's going to be them basically taking sides. Okay. At some point, they're going to take sides. They're going to have to basically Russia's going to force their hand. Okay. All right. So I got a precept, Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. All right, and that's what's happening. Okay. These nations are rising up against each other. Like I just said, these nations are going to have to basically play a side. All right, it's not going to be no more middleman thing. They're going to basically have to choose a side. If you're going to roll with America and the beast system, which is NATO and the EU, or you're going to roll with the BRICS nations, Russia, China, India, and South America. Okay. Forgot what the B was. All right. Let's see. For nation shall rise against nation. Oh, slack. Let me start at 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and that's what this is. This arms race. That's rumors of wars. Okay. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass. And it's prophecy. So like I said, this thing is inevitable, but it must come to pass because it's written in the scriptures. All right, the battle of Armageddon, which I'm going to get in a second, that must come to pass. Okay, it says, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. All right, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And all these are the beginning of sorrow. So that's what's getting ready to happen on the planet Earth. Okay? There's all types of famines, pestilences, earthquakes. Alright, and the Lord is going to be making his presence known, okay, to the world. And people are going to finally realize that, oh, it's the Most High that is basically orchestrating all of this tension. Okay? I'm gonna just read this headline. Y'all can look it up. This descent into hell is easy. Chinese state media warns growing U.S. tension. Growing U.S.-Taiwan ties could lead to war. All right. So this is another example of Taiwan basically being stuck in the middle and having to basically choose a side. Trump's America weaker, divided, and losing international prestige. See, under Trump, I'm just reading. Under Trump is becoming weaker, less effective, and internally disintegrated. It's losing whatever international authority or prestige it had, and it's also moving to destroy the world. See? And that's the Most High doing that. The Most High is getting ready to destroy this world. And he's using Trump as a catalyst. Because Trump is pissing all these other nations off, and he's losing his international presence and dominance. Alright? And that's in the scriptures. Alright? Let me get it real quick. One second. Revelation 17 and 16. Alright, and it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. And the 10 horns, that's NATO and the EU. Alright, it says, these shall hate the whore, and that whore is America or Babylon. Alright, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Alright, so they're gonna hate the whore, man. Alright, that's everyone hates America, man. Everyone hates Trump. If you look on an international scale, everyone is disgusted with America. It says U.S. power in the international system as a national entity has declined. But meanwhile, the world has changed under neoliberal globalization. And if you look at the ownership of the world, international multinational corporations based in the U.S. have about 50% ownership of the world's economy. Let's see. That was pretty much the main point. I'll just read this. The U.S. alone under Trump is aggressively moving to increase the danger to escalate by the greater concentration of fossil fuels extraction. All right. Here's the last article I got. U.S.-Russia agenda now contains just one issue: the prevention of war. Okay. So I mean that's pretty much straightforward. All right. They're basically that's the end all be all. Okay. There's basically a war on the horizon, an inevitable war on the horizon, and this thing has to go down. Okay. Revelation 16:16. And he gathered them together in a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, which that word Armageddon is Hamagadwan in the Hebrew, which is mountain of truths. Okay, and that's gonna be that's World War III, which is getting ready to happen very soon. Okay, World War III is happening as we speak. Okay, there's not no turning back. It says U.S.-Russia agenda now contains one issue: the prevention of war. So they're trying to prevent this thing, but ultimately it's gonna just keep amping up and just keep getting worse. Okay, until the missiles hit America, because that's another prophecy. All right, so as you see, I mean, this is numerous articles pertaining to the subject, so you can obviously tell that this thing is heating up. All right, so with that, I want to give all praise to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rakak Wadash, Shalom.